This podcast contains some magical adult language. Listener discretion is advised. And sorry, Mom.
I'm going to Disney World. I'm going to...
Whoa. You are not Mickey Mouse, you're a rat.
Rat smack! Besides, they're tourists. What do they know?
Welcome one and all, ladies and gentlethems, to Rat Castle. This is a progressive chat about Disney magic without the pixie dust. I'm Dave Cobb, and with me today are Sarah.
Hello.
Janine.
Howdy.
And Victoria.
Hi there.
And of course, our stalwart producer, Nathan.
Well, thank you, Dave. It's good to be here.
We got, so this is episode 2. Look at this.
Yeah,
we made it past the first one. Episode
We're
dos.
doing the thing.
Mama,
We're doing
we made it.
Doing the thing. So I got a lot of great feedback from friends online and stuff. Did you guys?
Yeah, it's been fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
I even have
Good.
friends who are not into Disney who are listening, and they're like, maybe I will go to Disney.
Awesome.
Hey, that's
I don't know. Okay.
we'll make
Our
listeners.
power, our
I had-
influence.
I had friends like ask about, hey, can we like give you topics to talk about and stuff? So yeah, if
Yeah.
you want to write
That'd
in
be
for
great.
sure.
Oh, yes, please.
Yeah, I think in a little bit we'll have a mailbag episode if people have any questions or
Excellent.
anything. So we'll put that out in the world.
I think that's an awesome idea. All right, let's get started, shall we? Let's start in the realm of theme parks. Victoria, why don't you get us started?
I'm going to be honest. I forgot this was even a thing that was happening. I'm sure many of us did. But apparently there's going to be 2 new additions to Toy Story Land in Hollywood Studios. The first one is going to be Jesse's Trading Post. And the story behind that is it's going to be a little play set that's tucked in the attic, which makes no sense to me because we're in Andy's backyard. But I didn't write this. And he's bringing it downstairs to set up shots. So it's going to have like cool toys and souvenirs, handpicked especially by Jesse. And then we're going to have Roundup Rodeo Barbecue Restaurant. And it's going to be a fun, family-friendly experience. And you're going to have barbecue surrounded by a kaleidoscope of toys and games and play sets that Andy has put together in his one-of-a-kind rodeo.
Yeah.
So yeah, all I hear is shade. Finally,
Finally, yeah, finally, and the good kind of shade, not like
Yeah.
good
shade
kind of shade. Yes.
Yeah. But we have to admit, if you look at the Roundup Rodeo, I almost said radio, the Roundup Radio barbecue, I'm going to just start calling this place Cardboard Cafe because there's not a thing in here. They love Toy Story because Toy Story's like, we just get another decal and
so
slap
cheap.
it on a wall and we say that it's Andy's crappy sticker and we're done. And look, there's some aspects of this I think are cute, and I think if it resembles a little bit like the queue for Toy Story Mania, I think that's actually fairly good.
Yeah.
But the concept art, it's hard to look at it and kind of go like, oh man, this is just gonna be one decal after the other.
But Nathan, the children look happy. So
Well,
happy.
in the art they look happy. In real world they're going to be cranky and need a nap.
Yeah.
So I have an honest question though about the Toy Story universe. Do toys eat?
Oh
That's a good question.
no, they
I don't think they do. I've never seen it.
I mean,
No,
obviously,
Why wouldn't they though?
this is a
Like,
cable knit
I mean-
sweater that will quickly unravel. Same with cars. Like, do
Yeah.
cars go to the bath? Why are there restrooms in Cars Land? Like, you don't want to know. You
Yeah.
just don't want to go there.
My mind is getting blown. Okay.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like,
And it's like, oh, well, that's a biological process. Speaking is
Ooh.
a biological
Speaking
process.
of
Like,
which-
that's air. That's respiration. Do they have lungs? Like,
yeah, right. So,
Pixar, tell us.
Well, I feel like they wouldn't eat because there are like toys that are also like food. So it's like it'd be,
wait,
like,
you eat
cannibalism.
toys?
No, I'm saying like
there are toys that are food.
there are toys that are like when you get like the little kitchen sets, like there are like
Oh, sure.
food,
Mhm.
like
Right.
they're food toys. So like
Right.
it'd be like cannibalism.
So they
amongst
just put
themselves.
it up against their mouth like because it's plastic. And they just go,
Yeah.
yum.
They just like rub it all over themselves.
Nutrients by
Energy
osmosis.
transfer.
It's like a splosh video. They're just kind of like, ooh.
Oh no.
And not every toy is the same either. So you got rubber toys, and you got no, not those kind of.
Not
rubber
on
toys.
this podcast.
And then, actually, I think it is on this podcast. And then,
This is the only podcast that you could say that.
yeah, that's Sandy's mom's room. So but you have rubber one. Now I'm all way off. Cardboard. You got rubber. I don't think they all eat the same thing. That's saying that like all toys are the same. But I think this is what, like Andy or Bonnie. Who the hell knows whose like yard this is anymore?
Is it at humans? No, the restaurant's at toy scale, right? Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So it's like a fake
Andy's.
restaurant.
It's Andy's.
It's Andy's yard with Bonnie's toys somehow.
Yeah, and maybe Andy and Bonnie are setting up a barbecue for the toys, like you're having a tea party. Okay, all right.
But why is a college boy playing?
I was just thinking
That's what
that
I was
boy does
thinking,
not
yeah,
need
like-
to be playing with a toddler. I'm sorry.
He's home on college break. He's there helping his little
Yeah.
sister. Come on.
Doesn't he have better things to do? I mean, his sister's got to
clap
be
for the
like
shade.
in her late teens, right?
She's a tween now, for sure. She's a tween.
But the shade is at least there's shade. I think Victoria makes a good
At
point.
least,
Shade.
yeah.
What was the thought process to not putting shade, like no tree cover because you're small?
Yes.
It's called budget cuts.
Well, it's budget, but it's also like there's nothing that would work at scale where it would
Yeah,
look correct.
it seems really hard to try to put to scale shade.
Well,
Yeah.
I don't know because I spent a little bit of time in that exact same theme park, shrunk down by another inventor playing around small, and I had shade. So
Right.
Yeah.
There
Right.
was. I can
miss that
contest
playground.
Yeah,
that.
but that was an area this big, though. Like,
That's
to
true.
cover that whole land with shade structure. Ooh.
Can I
But
go on a tangent?
Yes, please.
Disney got rid of like all of its good playgrounds except for Dumbo. I have really fond memories of my son being a baby in the Honey I Shrunk set and like kids playing with him and carrying him around through the jungle gyms, and like there's nothing
you forgot about the boneyard,
open
though.
and free play like that.
The boneyard's great at
It's
Animal
so
Kingdom.
small though.
Well, that's true.
It is small.
But it's two sides. It's pretty big on one side, right? With all the slides.
It's just very structured, which maybe like ADA compliance. Like they got rid of like the nets that you climb up and everything's just like go up steps and then go down the slide. And the Honey I Shrunk playset was like way more open ended and based on like exploration and imagination, whereas Boneyard's like go up the stairs, go down the slide.
Did any of you grow up with Discovery Zone? Was that just a Midwest thing?
Yes.
No.
No, that was in New
Oh my
Jersey.
gosh.
I had a
That
birthday
was
party
here?
there.
Yeah, just
there-
say
there
Andy
was
has a
one here.
Discovery Zone. That'd be good. I'll take that. Discovery Zone
Right?
playset.
Yes.
Dave's looking at me like he had something to do with Discovery Zone and he hates it.
No. I just remember researching them in the 90s because I was working on like FEC's Family Entertainment Centers, for those not in the industry now. And it's really creepy as an adult designer having to go to those things. Like, yeah, we'd always like call the manager. We'd call them, right. We'd either borrow somebody at work we'd borrow their kid, right? Or we'd like call the manager ahead of time and be like, here's the deal. I'm researching for my son's birthday and he's not going to be with me. Can you show me around? You know what I mean? Like, do you guys remember Disney had a version of it though that was only in California? There was one of them. It was called Club Disney.
Oh, I didn't know
That was
about
only
that.
in California?
There's only one of
I
them.
thought it was in Chicago. Or am I
No,
thinking
that's
of something
Disney
else?
Quest. That's Disney Quest. That's
There was a
different.
Disney Quest in Chicago?
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like a hot
Wow.
minute. There was supposed to be 4 or 5, and it was all too ahead of its time and very expensive. Nowadays, game development is cheaper. It costs too much money to develop content for it. Blah blah blah. There's lots of reasons. Yeah. But Club Disney was basically a membership based thing like Discovery Zone, where you could drop your kids off, and it was like Disney Play School. Disney like
daycare?
Yeah, it was like Disney daycare. Anyway, look it up. There's very few pictures because it's from that weird moment in the 90s when there's nothing digital that nobody took any photos, you know.
Was it like a Disney Chuck E. Cheese? Or was that like the Disney Quest?
Disney Quest was closer to Disney Chuck E. Cheese, but it also had some sort of big tech attractions in it. Yeah, it was closer to like it had its Chuck E. Cheese element because there was food service and stuff, and you'd have birthdays and things there. That's where the crossover goes. Right. But there actually was surprisingly not a lot of like do in it. It was environment, and then there was like crafts, and there was maybe
it really was like daycare.
Yeah, very much so. A little. I only saw it once, and it was with a team full of people that we were pretending to be a family planning a birthday party. So, because you can't tell them, oh, I work for a design company. We're coming in to study your designs. Like you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here we'll take it all the way back because when you're talking about this, it just reminds me that all I ever wanted when I was a child was a Pizza Planet, and they never made one ever.
What is that?
It's from Toy Story.
No. What is the logic? The demand is so great.
I don't know, because you just feel like, oh, we'll make this Woody's Roundup barbecue thing a Pizza Planet toy set, and you're golden. You know?
Yeah.
They made it extra complicated for no reason, as they do many things.
The trading post is going to be in the what I call the children's hospital, right? Like, because that's the.
Wait, what?
When you left it, because it's at the end of it's the end of Toy Story Mania, right? Like it's part of that portion. So that little gift shop that they created that looks like a children's hospital. I think
it's
that's
very
supposed
sparse.
to be part of that. Yeah, it was white and sparse and looked terrible.
Yeah,
but I don't think it had much to go with.
Let's move on, Victoria. What else you got for us?
So Disneyland Paris has recently begun dropping promotions for their 30th anniversary. They have put out a amazing video of all the Fab Five in their costumes, including Clarice.
Yeah.
And Pluto gets a nice little vest. He don't get the collar. He's not fully naked. That made me very happy. So they put out all their food offerings. Their merchandise looks bomb. There's like this iridescent color similar to Disney World's 50th, but
more like holographic.
Vibrant. Yeah, more like
it's
holographic.
like neon hollow. I am obsessed with it.
It's really beautiful.
Minnie's and Clarice's dresses in my size.
Did you see the brouhaha about Minnie's outfit?
So
I was getting to that.
Now it's like Stella McCartney, I think, designed it, like a big time fashion person, and it's fine. I don't love the color, but it's cute. But people are freaking out like Minnie's never worn pants, and it's like it takes one Google search to find like in the 80s she wore like slouchy little jeans with a little hoodie. There's the hipster Minnie where she's wearing like pegged khakis. There's on the cruise ship where she's wearing white pants. Like women wear pants.
We just want pockets. That's all we want.
That's all we want is
That's
pockets.
the next great journey
But it's like,
that we have to go on.
It seems like the best comment I saw on Twitter was somebody said it's a really bad week for guys who like jerking off to cartoon characters because
like literally because like I don't know if you saw how Candace Owens and also like was Tucker Carlson and like that whole thing, like for it to get to that level.
Well, it started at that level.
ridiculous.
Let's not kid ourselves.
Yeah,
it is not.
exactly.
When you said people are talking about it, I'm like, no,
they're not.
They're talking about it, and they're so loud that we all have
It's
to
the same thing with like the M&M, the green M&M.
Oh,
Yeah.
I was so confused about that rant because I was like, she compared it to bacon being $30, and I was like, first off, who's buying just one strip of bacon? Even at IHOP, they give you two. Where are you buying your bacon from? And what
It
does
literally
Disney
makes
have
no
to do with-
sense.
I was like,
it's manufactured outrage. It's a tempest in a teapot. Those people are idiots.
It's just hot words that they can throw out that get people upset. They're just like throwing things out. And whatever gets like the focus group the most riled up.
Part of this Paris merch, do we know if they're going to have a little Michael Eisner plush that when you squeeze him, he'll have a puberty problem in the middle of like saying his French like he did at opening? Do you remember that?
Oh no, oh my goodness.
Et maintenant, je déclare Euro Disney officiellement ouvert.
No, I want it though.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Frank Wells standing back and going,
God.
"I'm not sure about this."
I still have a T-shirt that says Euro Disney on it.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, true vintage.
Was it last year they brought back Euro Disney merch at Paris?
I think so. Yeah.
Oh, that was so cool.
Yeah, and I got to dig it up. I don't fit into it anymore because I was like, this big around before. But it's like, it looks like a Benetton shirt, like it's all color blocked, and it's that 90s like purple and red and yellow kind of. It's yeah. I want to turn it into a pillow. I think basically, if it doesn't fit anymore.
Oh, so the question I was going to ask. So with the promo for Disneyland Paris's anniversary, do we think it's doing better?
Yes.
Than Disney World's 50th?
Anything's better than the 50th. The 50th was a wet fart. What are you talking about? It was the worst.
My question is, when is our field trip?
Yeah, when is our field trip?
Paris?
Disneyland Paris.
Let me tell you, I looked up flights yesterday.
Today for me, yeah.
Well, I've never been.
Who's been to Disneyland Paris? I'm thinking it's just Dave.
I have.
Oh, Victoria, you have?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So we've got a pretty good crew. Wow. It's so rare that you meet anyone who's actually been.
There was a discussion on Twitter about that the other day. Somebody questioned, how many people have actually gone to all of them. And I'm spoiled because working in the industry, I have. But, there's a lot of people, most people don't, right?
I only know of one sole person that's gone to all of them, and they did it all in one trip.
Holy, what?
Wow.
That's insane.
I did it in less than a year, and I thought that was an accomplishment. But one trip... From May 2016 to March 2017, I did every Disney park, including the water parks.
Wow.
Yeah. And it was more of a dare. It was like there were two of them were vacation. Tokyo was a personal trip as a vacation, so all the parks there. But then like business trip in Orlando for IAPA, right. I went. I took a bunch of. I always take clients when I go to IAPA, and we went to all the parks. And I was working for a water park client, so we went. And then another client calls up and says, "Hey, Shanghai Disney just opened. We should go look, and we're going to pay for it." So it was a total boondoggle, right, where the client pays. And we went, and I was like, I have to go to Hong Kong while I'm here.
Yeah.
And then the following spring, some friends in the UK were like, "Hey, you should fly out and do Paris with them." I'm like, I got to do it to check it off. Of course, Disneyland is local to me, so I did those already. But I mean, I this is all humble brag, but it's like so few people do that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Especially to do it without like making it an intentional thing, which is it's more unique in that sense that you just happened kind of.
I casually stopped by.
No NBD, no big deal.
My yacht was passing, so I thought,
That's the thing. Everybody's like, "You must be rich." I'm like, I live in a 2-bedroom apartment, folks. The industry is not the movie industry. Like, I don't make movie money in this job. Trust me.
Let's not kid ourselves too, because like going to Tokyo, in theory, going to Tokyo is cheaper than going to Disney World, so it's not.
Can I tell you how much it was to go to Disneyland Paris in May? For like a decent hotel, it was only $1,300 hotel and tickets.
Wow.
I
for
was
5
looking
days.
We were supposed to go in September, and it was like the cheapest part of the trip.
Like if once you overcome the flight, now if you want flight tip, I'll give you a flight tip. But
what's that flight tip?
Okay. So there's this website I use called Airfordable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of bigger now, but yeah. Just put in your flight, put in payments.
Nathan, I think you have something for us, do you not?
I do. Let's talk a little bit about. I don't really care about what I'm actually talking about, but I care about what's in it. So there's a new cavalcade coming to the Magic Kingdom. It's called the Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade. That's the whole name. Disney Adventure Friends You know what? If this was the 90s, it would be Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade. Like there'd be a comma there because Disney Adventure was a magazine. And that would actually be a thing. But Disney Adventure Friends Cavalcade is Scrabble. That's nothing. Disney Adventure Friends Magic
Cavalcade Tasmic.
Yeah. But anyway, that's coming February 11th, and there's all sorts of. This is actually a pretty big cavalcade of characters, including newbies, such as. Let's see. This is the first time Miguel from Coco is going to be.
Yes.
Here at all, right? Because we had he had people singing his songs at Epcot, but there's been no character. So
cool.
This will be his first. But if you see the photos that have been released for this cavalcade, you will notice that Woody looks a little bit. I can't really tell about Jesse because it's a far photo. It's big and wide. But Woody is the entire new remodel that they did for Hong Kong, I believe, and has slowly dripped through park to park and is finally making it. I think this is going to be new Woody's U.S. debut, I believe. So if you look at this Woody has always looked super weird to me and blocky, and they haven't changed his design since like 95, literally. The new design is really pretty. The head cast feels more natural. It's a much thinner look. You can compare it if you look online, anybody, and you just Google Woody.
Oh yeah, he had like
costume.
no neck.
Yeah, he had no neck. It was
just
super
like a really...
strange, like a big old chin. Buzz looks even worse, but they redid Buzz too. But Buzz is of course not in this parade. But what I love about this is that we're finally getting the new looking Woody, which means at least hopefully soon that'll be the kind of the, I don't know, normal vibe for places like Toy Story Land and anytime Woody shows up. So
brand spanking new Woody. Oh wait, I shouldn't say spanking and Woody in the same sentence. So you know, it's actually, I love all the when they do those character redesigns, and what I found out is that a lot of it has to do with years of character use. They sort of know what wear and tear is, right? Yeah. And they know what works and what, and structural things, but also just advances in materials. Like, you know, when certain materials become available from industry and trickle down into entertainment, they're like, oh, we can use this new lighter, thinner carbon fiber or whatever, you know?
Yep.
And so that's always exciting.
Yeah, and I highly recommend, if you guys haven't seen it, one of my favorite channels, a good dude on the Disney YouTubes, is Disney Dan, and Disney Dan has a whole video on the evolution of Woody costumes in Disney parks, and Buzz, and he covers the Woody costume change, and he does such a good job.
I love Disney Dan. He's so cool. He's a sweetheart. I love his content. He's great.
Yes, so good. So check out his video. It's wonderful. Hi, Dan.
Hi, Dan. Yeah. Janine, I think you have something for us, correct? Something very exciting that I'm very excited about too.
I am also extremely excited about, despite the fact that he shares a name with my ex-husband. Kevin is back at the Animal Kingdom.
Well, it's a she. She named Kevin.
I know.
So that separates a little bit from your ex-husband.
So, yeah, it's fine. And also, like, my cousin's dog is named Kevin. Like, there's enough. It's fine.
There's a lot of Kevins.
It's fine. But Kevin is back, and she's beautiful. And I think that she's run by the same team who are the puppeteers who are behind the like Arctic critters that were there.
I think it is. I think it's the same.
It would
crew.
make sense. They are amazing. The amount of life.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
my
the
God,
best Christmas thing. Period.
It was
Disney
the
World.
best. I think my son spent an hour milling about, having to get pictures of every single one. They were just so alive. I am so excited that Kevin is back. And can we talk about like how Disney does the sort of like immersive character meet and greets where they're just present and they're there and there's not really like a line. They're just like hanging out. Like nobody does that like Disney does. And I'm so glad it's back.
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that he wanders around and squawks at you, and if you talk at her, she'll talk back to you. You're like, "Hey, Kevin," and she's like, "Quack," you know.
Now I think she's stuck. She's stuck behind a fence right now.
Okay.
Yeah, she's still distanced.
I'll still.
Yeah,
I'm still happy about it.
It's still good. I think
still stand.
I hate to say it, but I think one of the best things that came out of COVID changes has been this sort of milling about of characters because they're not stuck in lines.
I really like that.
It's been beautiful.
I enjoy it.
Yeah.
I find a similar, and people will hate this, I think it's controversial, the loss of the parades. Mm-hmm. I think that it's more organic with the cavalcades. There's not like these impassable blockades of people for hours a day. It's just like organic and fun, and you never know where you're going to see them, and it just keeps things really fresh and exciting.
I am with you. I am of that hot take that the era of giant parades, especially at the castle parks, is kind of done because they're not built for it anymore. The crowds are so much bigger, and it's like they're miserable when there's a parade going on. In a newer park, sometimes when you have parks like, you know, they had little tiny parades for a while in Animal Kingdom and even Epcot, you know, the Tapestry Nations, right, is enormous, and it works there. But it's like, man, I love them, and I love the art form of parades, but it's so hard to do them well anymore.
It's so hard to reconcile because they are beautiful, and it's such a delight, and I love all the performers.
Yeah.
And, you know, but it makes the experience really challenging.
I think it's going to be really interesting when Festival of Fantasy returns and see how they manage that.
Yeah.
Because that's coming up. Like, that's,
Yeah.
what, 2 weeks from now?
Yeah.
No, it's March 9th, right?
I can't hear the words Festival of Fantasy in like normal speaking tone. It takes pains. Like it's the song version of it.
This is a East Coast thing? I've never heard of it.
Festival of Fantasy? Like period?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just
the
our
parade.
Yeah, it's just our parade.
Okay. All right. I'm behind on all the parade names.
Or as we call it, the couple times a day that the old princess float from the 90s comes back out and shows that it will never die.
The mirror float.
It'll be here forever.
Speaking of reusing.
Go ahead. I was just going to say, I feel like we got off of the Kevin topic a little bit, but Kevin is like, well, I love Animal Kingdom, and Kevin's literally one of the best things at Animal Kingdom when she's out roaming.
I never actually got to see her before somehow. I always, and so that's why I'm so excited. I cannot
know
wait
it's
to
a
go see
puppet,
Kevin.
but you can't believe it when you see it. It's so good.
No,
it's
like magical.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's
you look her
wild.
right in the eye. You look her right in the eye and talk at her, and you're like, that is a living cartoon in front of me.
Anyway, Dave, go ahead. Tell us a little bit about Magic Key Lounge. That's what you want to.
Magic Key Lounge.
Biting at the bit.
No, it's fine. Magic Key Lounge. Now, Magic Key Lounge has already been in operation for a while. I actually went back in like November or December, and what it is, it's the second floor of the winery, what used to be the Mondavi Winery in California Adventure, and it's kind of been shut down for years because they never had the need for it at that restaurant to have all that space. And for a while it was party space and used for special events or rentals. And now they use it as like a perk, probably because of the difficulty of actually getting into the park like you used to on the Magic Keys. They're like looking for opportunities to give you perks. And so they've created this little lounge upstairs that they're calling like, you know, the Club 33 for Magic Key holders. It's not quite that because it is, you can see into it from the park. But we went and it was great. It was actually the perfect little respite. And it's small nibbles, small plate, drink cocktails, and then like a view, and you can see basically from the wharf to the Pixar pal around, and it's so it's this beautiful view of the park. It's very relaxing. The one thing though is like, I lucked out on the reservation. It's going to be reservation based like everything else. So yes, it's a great amenity, and it's going to be gone every freaking weekend.
Don't worry, a lightning lane will show up for it very soon.
Yeah, sure. I'm sure. So, but it is in good hands. Kim Irvine is the art director, and she's lovely. And they're kind of giving it this California hacienda. They're leaning into that California hacienda style with like terracotta and colorful tiles and you know, saddle blankets and things. So it's like there were bits and pieces of it when we went in November. It wasn't quite. It looked like they had done a little bit of work, but evidently this is like they're going in at night, and it's still open during the day, but they're going in at night during the renovation. It's supposed to open in the spring with sort of all new decor, and I can't wait because it is a wonderful spot, and it's exactly what that park excels at, which is relaxing space with cocktails like that and the patio. It is that and it's our Epcot, right? Like that and the Avengers Campus, the PIMS Lab is like that's the best hangout.
PIMS Lab.
It's the best.
PIMS Lab is so good.
It's the best hangout in the park. I mean, yeah, the cocktails are pre-made and they're $20, but who cares? They're served in a scientific beaker. So, so yeah, the Magic Key Lounge, I commend them for doing stuff like this for the much beleaguered Magic Key program.
So I went also like when it first opened, and for me, it was nice and all, but it felt like it was, maybe it was just my personal experience. I felt very rushed. Like they want to get in as much people as possible. I think it was maybe because that's when it first opened. Like a lot of Magic like key holders were excited, and like obviously Magic key holders, whenever they see something that's for them, they want to go there. But for me, I felt like it was very like rushed, and I felt like the food was like okay. Like I didn't think it was like that amazing. Like it didn't feel like a Magic Key thing to me. Does that make sense?
Right. And the food was fine.
Yeah.
What we appreciated was that it's just away from the crowd and fairly
Yeah.
quiet. But I
Yeah.
think the only reason they let us stick around is because we're lushes and we just kept ordering booze. So maybe that's the key to staying longer in the Magic Key Terrace is just drink up.
No, literally, as soon as we got our drinks, like they were like, okay, and here's like the check, and we were like, oh, okay.
Wow.
Like,
Rude.
whatever. It was just,
Rude.
it felt like they were just trying to get people out as quick as much as possible. Just
They
like go, go,
ogoed
go,
you.
go, go.
We call it, the
They
verb is
totally-
ogoed.
Yeah.
You got
I totally
ogoed.
ogoed you.
But I
All right,
loved
well-
the breeze and everything up there. It was super nice because it was like a really hot day.
I'm looking forward to hearing from listeners what their experiences are and whether this is another
Yeah.
total failure on terms of reservations and availability. All right, we're moving on to our Mickled and Dimed segment. This is where we look at the financial proclivities of the Walt Disney Company. Nathan, you have something to rant about for us? Let her rip.
Yeah. So generally this topic section, Mickled and Dime, will be about things that they're upcharging or surcharging or whatever, and we think, oh, is this really worth it? This is a little bit different than that because this is about the Bobs, Dose Bobs, being big old greedy bitches. So I'm going to read this. This is from WDW News Today. Disney CEO Bob Chapek saw a pay increase in 2021 that more than doubled his 2020 compensation, according to Deadline and new SEC filings. As is often the case with executives, his compensation wasn't entirely salary. There way I could say the word. Because, of course, most of the time they get this stuff in weird stock options and stuff that doesn't sound like real money, but it still pays for cars. And then let's see here. What else happened? One primary reason Chapek saw an increase was due to the restoration of his bonuses, which he did not take in 2020. Remember when both the Bobs were like, hey, we know times are tough and we just fired 40+% of our work staff. We're not going to have our bonuses. Well, guess what? Everything is back to normal. Every cast member is certainly not living paycheck to paycheck, or some aren't certainly living in their cars. So we're good to go. We're going to give our bonuses back to ourselves. Bob Iger also took home a whopping $45.9 million, which actually excludes a stock grant Iger collected at the end of his contract. When it comes down to it, let's see here. Iger's base salary remained at $3 million, meaning the rest came from bonuses and other compensation. What's funny about that is, if I remember correctly, let me look at this source here again. The actual this actually puts both these guys kind of on the lower end of media company CEOs. So they're not making much, these poor guys. The CFO doubled her salary, and so did general counsel because lawyer, and then the communications chief, who, has been doing such a great job with communications. Clearly, everyone's very pleased with the communications coming out of Walt Disney World. Not only doubled, she went from 7.6 million to 16.7. So she got more than bargained for.
And on the low end compared to other executives, I mean, welcome to capitalism, right? Like, we can complain about Disney doing this, but it's like, this is just business as usual in late stage capitalism.
This is it's not the whole disease, it's just a symptom for sure.
Absolutely.
Has anyone totaled like what they're paying in executive pay?
Probably it's just a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
But I feel like
I can't even picture that amount. Like,
yeah.
What do you do with that per year?
Per year?
Per year, every year that's happening. What are you supposed to do with that?
Oh, I could think of plenty of things to do with that.
Well, one of them just sold a house, didn't they?
Sure.
Chapek sold his house, I believe.
Really?
It was on
I just
Zillow
think
or something, and it was the lamest looking house I've ever seen. Like you could see his like dad room, and it had like his guitars and stuff, and you're like, man, the worst thing in the world would have to be Bob Chapek sitting you down and being like, let me play a little tune for you. Let me just play a little lick.
Creepy. I think it's fucked up because like this is coming in after like all of the union like things that were happening over the past couple of months, and how they were literally like nickel and diming the unions and saying like, oh, we can't give you $1 more. Like, what about the business? And here they are like giving millions of dollars, tens of millions of dollars to the CEOs.
I think we're probably in the hundreds between all of them. It's hundreds of millions.
Even if all of those executives put like a took like a 0.5% off of those millions of their salary, that would increase the quality of life for every employee in the Disney company like tenfold.
It's almost like you wouldn't have to move, not that they care about this reasoning, but it's almost like you wouldn't have to move all of Imagineering to Florida if you could pay for that. But then again, that wasn't the reason they moved them in the first place.
Yeah, right.
But, you know...
Wait, what was the reason?
They just wanted to kick people out, basically. I mean,
they wanted to clean house, and lose decades of institutional knowledge
to Universal.
They're all at Universal. Yeah, I have a lot of friends who were laid off, and I mean that's like, you know, the people who retired in the year or two leading up to it. That was that was not voluntary. That was heavily suggested by the company, right? Yeah. And they got golden parachutes. It doesn't matter, but like, it was cleaning house.
Specifically about Joe Rohde, right?
Yeah, well, that's one, but there's 3 or 4 more.
That was one of them.
Yeah, there's a couple of big ones.
But I think Joe Rohde was just tired of the bullshit too.
Yeah, right.
He's like, I've made a beautiful park. I'm done.
I have the distinct honor of sitting next to him on the TEA awards committee every year, and dude, he's just that kind of guy that when he starts talking, you're like, tell me more. Like he's so charming and funny and so erudite and so amazingly well read. So good for him. Get the hell out. You know,
he's got stuff to go. Like he could go travel. I mean, he literally travels the world. It's like he's not missing.
You know what he's doing now?
He's the Virgin Airlines.
He's doing Virgin Space Line. No, what was
Virgin? Space.
Galactic, Virgin Galactic.
Yeah.
He is heading up the guest experience side of what going on a Virgin Galactic flight will be. So take that. I haven't talked to him about it, but think about his desire for, you know, anthropological realism and weight and heft to a story, and the fact that we are now humans reaching the stars. Can you just imagine the kind of guest experience he's going to create for that? Like, oh my goodness.
Are you suggesting that Joe Rohde is helping theme a Star Cruiser? Is that what you're suggesting here? Possibly a better Star Cruiser?
Yeah. Can I just be honest, though? I can't get out of my head this idea of Bob Chapek playing a guitar for me. And
it's a nightmare,
because thank you for putting that in my head, because you know it's Nickelback, right? It's a, look at this photograph.
If you're lucky.
Every time I do it, it makes me laugh. It's,
if you're lucky. He'll probably try to be soft and play like Paul Simon, and that'll be worse.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Well, that's just playing in his head all day. So nothing new there. He's memorized that.
Have y'all seen what we got for the 50th? A good chunk of that money could have gone into a quality 50th anniversary for the guests. And what do we get? Painted signs with the fake outrage.
That's the weird thing. I didn't see a lot of people like getting upset at it. Like they're just like, oh, well, they're supposed to make that much money, but then they get upset over purple signs. Like, it's just weird.
The logic.
Like, I get it, the nostalgia people have for those traffic signs that are being changed, but like
for me, it's not the change. I just don't like that specific. I just don't think it's vibrant enough.
Oh, the new ones. Okay, that's fair. And that's fair. That's fair. Like,
that's fair.
Just the thing to know, like, again, just throwing out my professional opinion here. The originals were designed by a very, very, very prominent graphic designer named Deborah Sussman. Yeah. She was from the Eames office in the 50s and 60s, and what she's known for most is like the 84 Olympics in LA, which was this very graphic, cool, vibrant. Right. And so I was steeped in that as a kid. So her work is like very, very much part of my psyche. There were 3 or 4 big store chains here in Southern California that used her graphics, Zodi's and Standard Shoes and all these things. So she's very well known amongst designers, and I loved those signs because of that. But it's also like, they're very 90s. That is extremely 90s palette, which is the tertiary or secondary colors across the purple and yellow and the purple and red. Like, it's very textbook 90s. So I get it. But I do agree with you, Janine. Actually, I saw the new ones and I went, they're pretty. They're very executive. Looks like an airport.
It just looks like generic branding. It doesn't look unique. Like, it doesn't stand out in any way. It's like, just go with regular street signs at that point.
Well, the problem is everything is 90s now. Like, everyone's wearing, like, 90s is back in.
That's true. 90s is in vogue.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Yeah,
I mean,
you know, it's wayfinding. There's going to be a million opinions. They got to be mad about something. Shall we move on to film and TV?
Yeah, so we have a couple stories for film and TV, but we're going to start off with the Ant-Man and the Wasp actress, Evangeline Lilly. Yeah, so she traveled to DC over the weekend for an anti-vax mandates rally. She posted it on Instagram, claiming that she's in support of bodily sovereignty. So from the sides, I think we can get a consensus of like what you guys are thinking.
The ranting and raving about bodily sovereignty in light of people that got a ton of vaccines when they were born.
Yeah.
And for their job or school probably had to get vaccinated somehow or to travel to another country.
Comment like, I'm not vaccinating my kid without his consent. And I'm like, every childhood vaccine was given to your kid without their consent.
Yeah. It's just
that's the way it works. That's what
now
you sign
remember,
up for.
she also several months ago was bebopping around doing her own thing and was like, well, I'm not going to stay inside. And her dad, who she lives with, has cancer.
Yeah.
And
Jesus Christ.
like, she's just like basically like throwing knives around the house, hoping she doesn't hit her dad every day.
God.
And she's a total hypocrite because I bet you she has it. Because there's no way she's working on Marvel's stuff like Quantumania.
Right, and that's the thing that pisses me off the most, that they don't answer whether or not they got it because they think the choice is more important.
Yeah.
And it's like, I want to strangle you. Isn't there, I read somewhere also that before she got lost, I mean the TV show, not spiritually.
She could get lost, but
yeah, she can get lost. She can get lost again.
Sad.
For us, all I care. Before that, evidently, she was like very close to becoming like a preacher or a pastor of some sort.
oh really?
I mean, the name says it all.
The name.
Sure.
But I saw this one tweet that was saying it's funny how her and Letitia Wright are both supposed to be considered like smart characters in the MCU, and like they're literally the dumbest ones that are just like walking around.
Oh.
It makes
Like I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV, so now I'm qualified to be a doctor.
She did her research, I guess. That's she did her own research. Yeah, I know.
Did her own research. What's your research, Fox News? The same
The
people that don't
Lilly Vaccine Research Laboratory with double-blind studies. Yeah.
Facebook. That was her research. Facebook.
Yeah.
I mean, look, you can protest the mandates for political reasons, but you're doing harm scientifically to people. Like, it's just... You could like if you want to say it's unfortunate that we need these mandates because we should all have this choice, but it's the right thing to do, so everybody should do it.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
yeah. Do you guys think that she'll be like recast?
No.
No?
If Letitia Wright is still in Black Panther, no. Letitia Wright has created chaos on that set.
She's back.
And, she's back now.
She got her little boo-boo shot because she wasn't trying to lose that Marvel check.
Yeah.
It's just embarrassing. It's so embarrassing to be doing all that.
Yeah, well, they better hold on to those residuals because I can guarantee you both these actresses have made a name for themselves in the industry at this point, and people will be more wary to hire. They're both not big names. I don't. I mean, they're not. They're not draws.
Yeah, not really.
Lily's gonna get like a CBS procedural probably, and that'll be it. And she'll do just fine. But that's exactly kind of like her vibe.
It'll be an anti-vaxxer character procedural. It'll be researching bad science basically.
But like someone said, like, well, they're gonna lose her in the quantum realm, and that's it because she's gonna disappear. And I was like, I don't even remember that character's name. Like, I don't like. It's not like the Wasp is the thing I care about, and I know it's a thing to some people, but it's
not
fine.
For me.
They better watch it.
Yeah, so the next thing that we have is Disney responding to Peter Dinklage's criticisms over the live action Snow White. So he basically praised Disney for hiring a Latina, which is Rachel Zegler, for Snow White, but he criticized the negative like stereotypes that the dwarves have, and basically like he was essentially saying, how could you be so progressive to have Snow White be a Latina actress, but you're not progressive enough to like rethink the Seven Dwarves. Disney came back and they claimed that it's taking a different approach. Don't know what that is.
They said magical creatures is what I heard recently.
Yeah.
Really?
That's what I heard too.
But they are consulting. They're saying that they're consulting people from the dwarfism community. So like,
but not Peter Dinklage.
But not him. So like, I don't
But not him?
know how they can like do magical creatures and then like do dwarfism. Like it kind of seems off to me.
My hot take is that I think they were already going that direction. Like, how does Peter Dinklage know which direction they were going in the movie anyway? I think, I mean, not that he's wrong, but did he just pick it as a target because he heard the movie was being made? Like, maybe I'm being too like rose-colored glasses here, but with all the steps they've made for inclusion with Disney, I think it would have made sense to start the discussion with, well, we can't have little people, we can't have dwarves, so let's just make them magical and residents of the forest. And I mean, I'm all for having that discussion, but I fully think that they were already going down that road, and this just confirms
what does that look like though? Like, how are they dwarves but
my
not
guess is it's
dwarves?
Dobby-ish.
That's my question too.
Like Dobby, you know, Dobby's not but we all cried when Dobby died too. So sorry, spoiler alert.
Oh no.
It's been several years now.
I would say it's like they're going to have, they're going to have animalistic features or sprite and fairy-ish figures. There's plenty of ways to go. When you look at all the little people that have been, and dwarves who have been in movies, but under layers and layers and layers of makeup, you know, it's
True.
You're not saying they're human. You're just saying they're magical creatures that are small. So,
but I think that was part of the complaint.
Yeah, I feel like that's a little problematic though, because it's like already there isn't enough dwarf in like of the dwarfism community like representation in film as them just like being regular people.
Right.
So then to come in and say that these are going to be magical creatures, it kind of takes away the humanity of them.
It's almost worse.
It kind of rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah,
I feel like they couldn't have won. I don't think there's a way to win this one.
No,
like, either way.
Yeah. I'm in the middle about it because I think you could make magical creatures work, but I'm with you. Like, and I can't speak for the dwarf community, but and I never would, but I would love to have that conversation that you're suggesting, which is like, wouldn't it be okay to have a cast of 7 little people and dwarves? To represent the compassion and empathy that these characters have for Snow White, right?
Yeah.
Well, and give them wives. Who cares? Like, give them a fleshed out life, and they have a village.
Yeah, make it like a community, like a village instead of just a bunch of
And again, I completely understand where Dinklage is coming from in the sense that, like, I'm sure he has heard enough Snow White jokes in his life from assholes to, I'm sure, when something like this comes up, being like, "Are you serious? Like this again?" Like, but at the same time, there is that thing of there's enough variations of the original Grimm's fairy tale, and there's enough. The problem Disney has, of course, per always, is they became the American canon version of an ancient fairy tale. And so the expectations going into the Disney version is certain things. Yeah. Whereas really they're not, I mean, they don't have to. They can do whatever they want with the story, and people go, well, that's not Snow White. And it's like, no, dummy, it is Snow White. It's just the Scandinavian version or I don't know, there's a lot of France or Italy. Like there's a lot of variations. So like it's a hard road to take, and I'm glad I'm not the one that has to make these choices.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It really
why
is.
The Bobs get paid so much.
Oh, sure.
They get paid so much, they do so little. But I just think that like I'm glad that they are consulting people in the dwarfism and little people community. I think that it's important to make sure that we are getting their input just so that the film can represent them in a good light. Yeah. And I think that Peter Dinklage did bring up a valid criticism and a valid point, just so that like we can't half-ass like progressive things that we want to do in the company. So I get,
especially when it's cheap and easy and like doesn't step on any real toes. Like people are gonna be pissed that Snow White is brown.
But Disney doesn't care about these live action remakes anyway. They're a cheap buck, and then they don't do anything with them after they're made. There's very little representation in the theme parks or in merch after these things are done. They're just easy grabs. So this is going to come and go, and we'll probably be shocked how much we're talking about it now. Later on.
This will probably be the beginning and the end of it.
Do you guys remember Snow White?
They got some bangers.
Yeah,
they got some bangers.
I mean,
Cinderella was great.
Sure, that was the
Cinderella's great. Pete's Dragon was my favorite one. I saw
Yeah.
it like 8 times in the theater. It made me cry. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing.
And that's a movie that was not super awesome in its original form, and you can do something with it.
And they
that's
made
why
it
I'm
better.
like,
Exactly.
that's why
And
I'm
they
like,
made it work.
remake Flubber again. Like, I love Flubber. I loved Absent-Minded Professor.
God.
I loved, you know, what are the old Kurt Russell movies?
Computer Wore Tennis Shoes.
Yeah, Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. Now You See Me, Now You Don't. Dexter Riley. But like, there's plenty of stuff. Disney is well known for making crappy, bad movies for like 3 or 4 decades that weren't animated. So there's plenty of material that you can reuse for live action. I don't know why they're about out when it now they're doing Aristocats as well.
You know what would be great if they remade Babes in Toyland, like
Yeah,
just for
that's
Christmas
great.
or something like that.
It'd be cute. It'd be real
That's
cute.
great. Or if they brought us Percy Jackson and the Olympians.
Oh, nice transition there, Nathan.
Okay. So Percy Jackson finally gets the green light for a Disney Plus series. And what's exciting about this one, because if you guys have seen the Percy Jackson movies that were in 2010 and 2014, I believe it was, we finally get Rick Riordan to be writing the pilot, and he's going to be very involved, especially because, as we know, the movies were awful. They're very awful, especially because like I read the books growing up, so to have to go see those movies, it was awful. For like
This feels like I feel like Percy Jackson was right after I stopped reading YA because like just the because I have no connection.
When was that published? I have no connection as well.
Early aughts, I think.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
I was still reading them.
I grew up as a massive, Greek and Roman mythology nerd, and so I read them only because of that, to see, hey, what's the take? And I only read the first one, and it's fun. It's like I get why it's popular, but that movie was terrible.
It was horrible. Like I feel like with the movie, what was really bad about it was the fact that Rick Riordan, even himself, was just saying like, you guys are not following the books like at all. The fact that he condemned it and was like, this is like not anything from the source material. You guys like have all of the source material that you can do so much
and
with.
you use none of it.
Nothing. And like they would use a little bit, and it just like they would mess it up at the same time. So.
And that's that Disney Plus money, say Disney going, what's this IP we have over here at 20th Century Fox that's popular and not being used well? Hey, Disney Plus, perfect, And
also is very thematic. If this thing gets very popular, this is a very thematic thing. They could use that kind of mythic vibe in a park for sure.
Yeah.
I thought they were gonna do that with Kingdom Keepers. Have we heard anything about that?
Those are fun.
John Favreau, is he doing that as well? I thought he was.
That's what I heard.
Last heard. Yeah.
That man's got he's got his finger in so many Disney Plus pies. I don't know, but I'm sure it's still going. Why not?
Those are great. Those are a lot of fun if you haven't read them. They're really fun. So back to some theme parks. We have a couple little pieces of theme park news. First one was a strange little tweet from Universal Orlando's social media today that just very, very vaguely said 2025. And everyone, of course, pounced on that and said, oh, it must be the opening date for Epic Universe. And so I don't know if this happened, but my speculation is what always happens, which is that it was mentioned on an investor call or something.
Yeah, I think so.
And somebody wasn't supposed to, and then it got out. So they're like, well, now marketing has to scramble, so let's make it a known secret, right? But their social media was on it because it said summer 2025, and the best response was somebody said Tron opening ? And Universal's response was asterisk 2072. Like the shade of it all. This is where Nathan, we need that soundboard where you put the little shade sound from RuPaul. Anyway,
my 9-year-old is like convinced that that's never gonna open. Every single time he goes, he's like, "Is it time yet? When is it gonna be time?" And it's like,
I mean, at this point, I'm ready to get a hard hat and a hammer and go there my damn self. Like,
when did they even start construction for it?
Like 2019.
So it's been a while.
But they stopped a lot during 2020. That the site shut down before they could figure out how to do COVID compliance. So I get it, And then a lot of it is also parts and supply shipment. But and I'm like the biggest Tron fan in the world, by the way. Like I'm a Tron nerd. I had both arcade machines in my house for a long time. So I am chomping at the bit for that thing because it's great. I went on it in Shanghai. It's amazing. But yeah, I'm like, oh come on, just open already.
I like how we've talked about Tron when it's Epic Universe that's opened in 2025.
Yeah, right.
That's the more that's the interesting thing.
Whoever's running their Twitter is a genius.
Oh,
They're amazing.
yeah.
Universal's
so
Twitter
Yeah.
is so on it.
They're
and,
so quick.
And it's so on brand with Universal. Universal's always been, we're not Disney, we ain't Disney, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And yet it's this very fine line because they're never rude, right? They're never
been
like
rude.
Yeah.
sure,
The
but
occasional
they've been called
miss,
they've been called on it occasionally, yes. But for the most part, I think they balance this snark really, really, really well.
It's just shady. It's like it's all in good fun though. It doesn't ever come
Yeah,
off
I remember
as like
Disney
malicious.
tried it one time.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. if
It was
Disney do
a
it.
mess.
Yeah.
Oh no,
The best-
people were pissed.
The best analogy I can think of is Universal's Ferris Bueller, while Disney is the principal. Like Disney just can't, like, it would be weird if Disney tried to be cool. They're like a status thing, and like they have a presentation to hold. And Universal's always been like, we're Bart Simpson on our skateboard, like whatever.
Right. So we're excited for Epic Universe 2025. That's still a couple of years away, so we'll have a lot of stuff to talk about as it evolves. But it's good to know there's an opening date.
Yeah.
Janine, take us home. We got one more theme park thing to talk about.
I have such good topics. I get to talk about the Studio Ghibli opening. It's been finally announced. I have to admit that I thought this day would never come. I kind of like, there was so much talk for years about like this storied Studio Ghibli theme park that I kind of assumed was just like fan art and like fan theories, but it's actually happening. It's opening in Japan this year.
I'm not trying to be a buzzkill.
Is it Ghibli?
But can I give a really strange little reality check here? Okay.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
the term theme park in Asia,
Okay.
especially in Japan, but also in China, sometimes literally means those two words.
Yeah.
Park.
Okay, it's a park that you
with a
can
theme.
enter.
Right.
Okay.
And so my assumption, I think it's going to be beautiful. The concept art looks amazing, and I love the Ghibli films. So yes, I will very much enjoy going. But I think it's going to be primarily environments, shopping, food, and maybe some shows, maybe some live entertainment.
Maybe.
I don't think there's going to be any rides at all. I will.
I don't think so.
Wow.
I will put $1 down now and bet you money, knowing how many theme parks I've been through around Asia, which are basically exploring a theme for a day out to take photos. I will bet $1 right now that there are no rides.
It's
Yeah.
too soon too. Like I feel like it's so quick from the announcement to the actual opening. Like how
That's a
could
really
they
good
have
point.
a whole because when I saw that I was like, no way, it's a whole theme park. How could you even have like a theme park just based on all that?
Yeah.
Now, having said that, if I can't go and sit on a cat bus, I'm gonna cut somebody.
Yeah.
I mean,
What's
Like,
the
I'll
point?
put $1 down just to pre-order my seat for that.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking about it, and I almost feel like it's fine because we all just want to be in that world.
Yes.
And a ride
Yes.
does take you out of the world because you're
Yeah.
always aware you're on a ride. And if there's no blatant, here's a cue for the ride that you strap in,
Yeah.
it feels a little bit more immersive. So I'm kind of into that.
If it has some sort of magical interactive moments and unexpected things
Yeah.
to discover, and that's fine. Like that's
Yeah.
Yeah.
half of the charm of a park like Efteling, which is very sort of Ghibli-esque.
Totally.
Is that it's not the rides, it's the environment and the fun little interactives and the weird stuff. So I'm
Yeah.
all for
Yeah.
it.
Though I will say there's always been a desire and a hope for me that when Disney was the sole distributor of Ghibli films, I think it's Studio K now, or I can't remember who's doing it now.
Warner Brothers
Brothers
HBO.
has the license now.
Yep.
That thing bounces around all the time.
Yeah,
but I
it's on,
really,
all of them are HBO Max.
I really was. Oh, that explains it. I was really hoping that Disney would form a very good bond because they have the artists at Pixar, interestingly, have a very good bond with Ghibli and have done like they did these interesting statues that rotate and it looks like animation because it flickers really fast.
Oh, that's
and Ghibli
fun.
did one, and so Pixar did one kind of as a memory of that. And there's
It's
this
at the Oscar
camaraderie.
Museum.
And and I
Yeah.
really wanted some sort of Ghibli ride in Japan at Epcot because I thought that was the place for it. And I knew there would never happen. There's not enough space and there's 1,000 other reasons, but just to get on I just want to get on a cat bus. I just want a nice, slow Navi River Journey-esque, chill
Yes.
ride
that would be lovely.
through Totoro. That's all I want. I know there's a lot of other great, but I just want Totoro. I want a big, fat, furry animatronic Totoro.
I want to lay on a Totoro and just
and feel it breathing, and
hug
it's just the breaths of the Totoro, and that's the ride.
Yes.
And guess what? That would still be built before Tron would be done.
Yes.
And on that note, this thus ends another rousing episode with the motley crew of Rat Castle. Thank you so much, gentle thems and ladies and gentle thems. I appreciate everybody's input today, and thanks you all for listening. Once again, Rat Castle is produced by Nathan Hartman. Please consider subscribing so you don't miss an episode. Tell all your friends, tweet us, spread us around. We're easy. You can check out our website at ratcastlepodcast.podbean.com. And now it is time for all of you riders aboard Rat Castle. Please grab your belongings and exit to the left.
Will you stop this foolishness?
What foolishness would you like to see?
Will you get out of here?